This is the #1 money-making scheme in the underground world, a layered strategy built on manipulation. And once you're in, it's almost impossible to escape. These days, plenty of entrepreneurs and shady operators are using this exact playbook. After hearing this story, your whole idea of how money is made might never be the same again. There once was a traveling merchant who arrived in a small town with an unusual idea. He wanted to sell turtles. The problem is, no one in that town had ever kept turtles before. No one even thought of them as valuable. But this merchant had a plan. In that town, every third Sunday, people would gather for market day, a regular tradition where locals bought, sold, and exchanged whatever they had. So on every market day, the merchant would show up and shout loudly, "I'll pay top dollar for turtles. Bring me turtles and I'll pay more than anyone else." Of course, no one had turtles, but people started paying attention. This was the first part of his strategy, creating artificial demand. It's what you might call making something out of nothing. On the next few market days, he kept returning, offering higher and higher prices each time. First, he offered $50 for a big turtle, then $100, then $150, then $200. By the fifth time, someone in town, hoping to cash in, rushed to buy up turtles from somewhere else at $250 apiece, planning to sell them to the merchant for $300 when he came back again. Sound familiar? What no one realized was that those earlier turtle sellers, they were working for the merchant. He had staged the whole thing, buying his own turtles at inflated prices to create the illusion of a booming turtle market. Soon, more people joined in, thinking they too could flip turtles for a profit. This tactic is similar to the old trick of throwing out a brick to get a jade in return, offering something fake to lure people into giving up something real. As word spread, savvy locals began buying turtles to raise them, believing they'd grow bigger and be worth even more later. That's when the merchant flipped the script. He sold all his turtles to those hopeful investors and walked away with the real profit. In business lingo, this is what's known as a clean exit. But he wasn't done. Next, he saw a new opportunity. Some people wanted to get into the turtle trade, but didn't have the money, so he offered loans. No cash, no problem. I'll lend you money to buy turtles. People, convinced the price would keep rising, mortgaged their belongings to borrow money from the merchant so they could buy more turtles. At this point, the merchant didn't even need to show up at the market anymore. He had become the town's biggest lender, and in many cases, the real owner of the turtles they thought they owned. Everyone thought they were in the turtle business, but the merchant was the one getting rich. This is what, in some circles, might be called a pump and lease. Inflate the value, control the debt, then cash out. Eventually, one sharp villager had a realization. Wait, we never needed turtles in the first place. Life was just fine without them. The merchant noticed this dangerous idea gaining traction. If people stopped believing turtles were valuable, the whole scheme would collapse. So, he changed tactics again. He began spreading a new kind of message, especially to the young women of the town. If a man can't afford a turtle, is he even worth your love? Suddenly, not having a turtle became a symbol of failure. People began questioning their own worth, forgetting their education, their dreams, their work, because they couldn't buy a turtle. And with that, the turtle became sacred. No one dared question it. Everyone followed the trend. Everyone wanted in. This is how people get herded. We've all seen it happen, whether in stocks, crypto, NFTs, or trendy fads. And in the end, it was never really about the turtles. It was about how easily we get pulled into illusions, how greed, social pressure, and fear of missing out can blind us to the obvious, how quickly we forget what truly matters, simply because someone told us we should care. Now here's the uncomfortable truth. This isn't just a fable, it's real life. We've seen this exact manipulation play out in business trends, get-rich-quick schemes, and even corporate cultures, where the loudest voice or flashiest title can dictate what people chase, often at the expense of their own peace and purpose. If this story made something click in your mind, if it made you reflect on the turtles you've been chasing, then you need to read The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel, because that's exactly what this book does. It strips away the layers of illusion we've built around wealth, success, and status. It doesn't just talk about money as numbers on a screen or figures in a bank account. Instead, it reveals how deeply our emotions, behaviors, egos, and fears are woven into every financial decision we make. It shows you that being smart with money isn't about being perfect, it's about making good, simple choices again and again. It explains that making money and keeping money are two very different things. It helps you see that your past, your habits, and the way you think matter more than fancy numbers or expert predictions. And most of all, it teaches you how to use money to create freedom in your life, not just to have more stuff. In a world where everyone's trying to sell you the next turtle, The Psychology of Money helps you stop chasing and start understanding. Because once you truly understand money, you'll stop letting it control you and start using it to shape a life that's actually worth living. Check out the book in the orange cart below.